So you've been in Christian education now for a while. No doubt you've seen a lot come and go. You've seen the ups and downs. I know you have a strong burden for Christian education, but what would you say is one of the things that you are burdened most about in Christian education?
Well, I think that we as teachers sometimes get into this mode of, I'm here, I've been doing this, I know what's happening, why should I try to change? But I think it's important for us as educators to think that we need to be teaching beyond the classroom. It's not just the students that we're trying to help, but we need to minister to the entire family.
Okay, so I want to loop back to something you just said right there. I don't know, loop back too far, but something you just said was teaching beyond the desk or teaching beyond the classroom. I think you picked that phrase pretty intentionally. So I wondered, can you unpack that just a little bit more? Because I think that's key. We often get in, we have to get our lesson plans done. We have to finish, this, and this today. But it sounds like we need to go further than that. So can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure. I believe that as educators, it's more than just the lesson plans. It's more than just getting the grades in. It's making those phone calls. It's making those connections. It's partnering with parents. I believe, our biblical responsibility is to come alongside mom and dad and assist them in what God gave them the responsibility to do. And so how can we do that better unless we partner with them? And I mean, I think working with special needs kids has really taught me to really dive into my curriculum, to teach beyond what the curriculum says, to have my students up and moving and collaborating and having them ask their parents questions. My role as an educator is ministering to the family. So I've got to be in touch with those parents. And that means even if there's an issue that takes place in class, I've got to be communicating that ahead of time. And we've always heard that saying, nip it in the bud. We have to do that ahead of time. And so that means I have to have a partnership with them. There's not really a hierarchy, if you will, of I'm in control and I teach your kid and you have to do what I say. It's a partnership with them where I'm moving with the student.
Absolutely.
It's not just one directional, and I think that we as educators can sometimes get into that mode or that stage of this is where we're at and we shouldn't have to do anything. But it's that authentic connection that I think that I'm looking for. It's that transparency, the immediate, even if I did something wrong, you are right. I am so sorry. Let me fix that for you. It's understanding parents' cultures. It's understanding that this is a shared responsibility, that I have to do my part and I have to help my parents maybe sometimes learn how to do their part. So I think that's what I think of when I think of teaching beyond the desk. It's more than just the basics, school requirements.
That's so right. And often we can just get focused on the students since they are sitting right there in front of us. And whether by oversight or by trying to avoid potential conflicts, maybe by talking to parents, we're omitting the most vital part of the partnership. And you mentioned that, the parents is supposed to be teamwork, and that teamwork is so important. And a school's culture really plays a vital part in that relationship. Do parents feel welcome? Are they a part of this? Or are they just, you need to drop and go type thing? We've been at schools like that. You know how that feels. What are your thoughts on all this? How do you think a school's culture affirms, I guess you could say, the calling of the parents, who they are, and really
Sure.
shapes every sphere of life?
Well, I mean, it really goes back to the Bible. God's word tells us to raise children up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, or the discipline and the instruction of the Lord. God's word says often in the Old Testament that we're supposed to teach the Bible at home, at where you go, in the schools, in the churches, when you walk along the road, when you lie down. It also says, wear it about your neck, put it up in your house. And I know that I've been even talking with my high school Bible class about that, that's because eventually one day those parents aren't going to be there and these students have to make these
So
wise
true.
choices.
Yeah.
And so I think the culture of our schools has to be that partnership. We're not replacing anybody. I'm not replacing mom and dad. They're the primary spiritual leaders, or should be the primary spiritual leaders. I think we're there to equip. I think we're there to encourage parents. Um, in their family worship. I know that I've spoken with several families in the last week here about their family worship and their time of prayer together.
Enjoyed this short clip? That was just a sneak peek into a full episode on the Teacher Edition podcast. We are passionate about supporting Christian educators like you. Looking for more inspiration and practical strategies you could use today? Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts. Brought to you by BJU Press.